Breaking silos, connecting R&D, product, and marketing. Hello and welcome. I'm Catherine O'Shea, COO and co-founder of Narratize. Today, we're diving deep into a challenge that plagues organizations of all sizes: silos between R&D, product management, and marketing teams. If you've ever felt the frustration of brilliant innovations getting lost in translation or product features being misrepresented to customers, you're experiencing the silo effect. This disconnection doesn't just slow down your go-to-market strategy, it fundamentally undermines your organization's innovative potential. Today, we'll explore how effective knowledge sharing and documentation can transform your organization by creating bridges between those critical functions. And I promise to share practical strategies that you can implement immediately, regardless of whether you use a platform like ours. Let's begin by understanding what organizational silos actually look like in practice and why they're so detrimental to innovation. First, we're going to understand this problem. When we talk about organizational silos, we're describing a phenomenon where departments operate as isolated units, limiting the free flow of information across the organization. This is particularly problematic when it comes to innovation. Jim Rakowski, Senior Vice President of Research, Development, and Engineering at Ecolab, put it perfectly when he said, "It's incredibly important to make sure that the organization can communicate those things internally effectively. Once we have that innovation, we've got to be able to communicate it externally effectively as well." These silos manifest in several ways. R&D teams develop groundbreaking innovations, but struggle to translate technical details into benefits that product managers can understand. Product teams create roadmaps without full visibility into what's technically feasible or scientifically validated. Marketing creates messaging that misrepresents product capabilities because they lack deep understandings of how things actually work. The cost? A Holmes report shows how poor communication costs corporations an average of $62.4 million per year in inefficiency and rework. But the greatest cost is the lost opportunity. Joel Schall, Director of Technology and Innovation at Henkel, shared with me, "We need everybody to own the responsibility to innovate within the organization. And the problem is, sometimes we get siloed and functions have totally different languages." As Leslie Crone, Chief Communications Officer at Argonne National Labs, eloquently shared with me, where storytelling comes in is how these people communicate across their responsibilities so that everybody has the same passion and the same vision for what our next big thing is. The question becomes, how can we break down these silos without disrupting existing workflows? The answer lies in creating systems that naturally facilitate knowledge flow across departments. So let's dig into knowledge sharing and the imperative of it. At the heart of silo busting is effective knowledge sharing. When institutional knowledge is properly captured and made accessible, it creates a common foundation that everyone in the organization can build upon. This isn't just about having a good documentation system. It's about creating a knowledge ecosystem that fosters cross-functional understanding and collaboration. Think about it this way. In a study published in the Harvard Business Review, companies with strong knowledge sharing practices were found to be 5 times more likely to be high-performing organizations. And according to the Project Management Institute, organizations that emphasize knowledge transfer reduce project costs by nearly 30%. Lou Grizzo, VP at FM Global, shared with me the importance of documenting learnings perfectly. In certain areas, you see the same problems come up over and over again. And as people change and go to different roles, you see the same problem has a tendency to get worked by different people at different points in time. And unless those learnings are documented, and there's an opportunity for others in the future to go back and review those, the same mistakes or the same path will be pursued. He went on to say, this documentation of past learnings also provides the opportunity to build upon them from a different perspective, which could be an innovation in itself. This is particularly critical when we consider that knowledge walking out the door is a real threat. According to a recent Workplace Knowledge and Productivity report, U.S. businesses lose $47 million in productivity each year as a direct result of inefficient knowledge sharing. But knowledge sharing isn't just about documentation. It's about translation. The most effective knowledge sharing systems don't just record information, they translate it for different audiences. Jim Murkowski shared this insight. The easiest way to convey the idea is to pretend you're speaking to your great aunt about the idea. Somebody who doesn't have the technical background, somebody who might be interested and you respect them and they respect you, but doesn't really have the information and expertise to keep up with you. This concept is called technological reflectiveness, or TR, which refers to our capacity to understand technologies and reflect on its potential impacts. People with high technological reflectiveness have a stronger ability to translate product concepts across domains, disciplines, and departments. They are stronger at opening their minds to different and more elaborate features and use cases for innovations, and they generate better quality ideas for enhancing a product's impact on the end users and society more broadly. In concept tests for new products, researchers discovered that people with higher TR gave more meaningful feedback and drive socially impactful innovations forward. Technological reflectiveness can also be fostered across departments so that when R&D explains their innovations, marketing is better positioned to understand its impact. And when product teams articulate customer needs, it's more likely to inspire and give purpose and meaning to the work of the technical teams who have to execute on that vision. This translation between functions is where real innovation magic happens. Let's dig into the cross-functional collaboration models. Let's explore proven models for cross-functional collaboration in innovative organizations. One model that's gained traction is the squad approach, pioneered by Spotify. This involves creating small cross-functional teams that include representatives from R&D, product, and marketing who work together on a specific initiative from conception to launch. According to a study by the Project Management Institute, organizations with high-performing cross-functional teams complete 95% of their projects on time, compared to just 48% for low-performing teams. But regardless of the specific model you choose, successful cross-functional collaboration requires several key elements. First is shared goals and metrics that unite teams around common objectives, regular touch points where different functions can exchange information, and a central knowledge repository that serves as a single source of truth. So let's get into the tools that facilitate asynchronous communication and documentation. Matt Doyle, Global Head of Product Safety at P&G, shared with me how this works with his teams. We sit together. The product researchers can be in the laboratory as well as the CMK folks. And so that creates a richness that exists where we can all be excited about and be available for each other, literally in the moment. These multifunctional teams are formed and we build a sandbox around them that allows them to play. I've also had the joy of getting to know Ryan Eder, founder and CEO of Include Health. Over the years, he's shared a similar sentiment. He says, we started to loop in trainers and therapists and physicians and payers and just listen and understand the problems they're navigating to figure out how we can deliver tangible tools to help them solve these problems. The more you listen, the more you understand the nuances of their world. Several companies have seen remarkable results from improved cross-functional collaboration and customer listening sessions. Dan Ward, Principal Systems Engineer at MITRE, shared with me, when all of us are there, it helps create an environment of high trust and psychological safety, which is so critical to doing experiments and making significant progress in innovation. Another model worth exploring is the T-shaped team. This is where individuals have both deep expertise in their domain, the vertical bar of the T, and the ability to collaborate across disciplines, the horizontal bar. This model, championed by IDEO and other design thinking orgs, help bridge the gap between specialized knowledge and cross-functional understanding. The bottom line is that effective cross-functional collaboration requires both structural approaches and cultural elements like effective innovation storytelling across functions. As Catherine Tobin, head of workspace innovation at Google, shared with me, it's all about understanding the story that the audience needs to hear, as opposed to the story that you want to tell as the innovator. Let's look at the documentation strategies. Effective documentation is the backbone of cross-functional collaboration that connects R&D, engineering, product, ops, finance, marketing, and more. But many organizations struggle with documentation that's too technical, too verbose, or simply inaccessible to different departments. The key is to create documentation that serves multiple audiences without creating additional work. Here are some approaches that you can try. First, layered documentation. Transform reports and content for each stakeholder with different levels of detail for different folks. Technical specifications for R&D, functional overviews for product teams, and benefit statements for marketing, all connected to the same core information. Narratize generates these types of audience-based outputs seamlessly within the new product innovation process. I love hearing engineers say, "Finally, a PRD that tells me the exact insight I need and what I need to do next." Second, regular updates. Static documentation quickly becomes outdated. Implement a system where documentation is treated as a living entity, constantly updated as new information emerges. AI capabilities are game-changing for this, and I'll talk about that more later in this video. Third, contextual annotations. Allow team members to add comments and context to documentation, creating a richer understanding of the why behind decisions. Fourth, visual communication. According to a study by 3M, visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than text and help improve comprehension by 400%. Using diagrams, flow charts, and other visual elements makes complex information more accessible across departments. So let's talk about storytelling frameworks. As Leslie Crone, Chief Communications Officer at Joint Commission, shared with me, storytelling is a mechanism to make things memorable. People can recount stories better than facts and figures most of the time. And finally, using innovation storytelling frameworks within your documentation can make it more compelling and accessible. Michael Didasco, Senior Director of Innovation at PayPal, reinforced this when he said, "I think storytelling is the most powerful thing you can use to get other people on board. If you are just creating great or innovative products and nobody is using them, that's not doing anybody any good in society." Effective documentation isn't just about capturing information. It's about making that information accessible, understandable, and actionable for everyone in the organization. As Jim Rakowski says, storytelling is probably one of the most underappreciated aspects of how we drive innovations to success. If it's not commercially successful, the innovation really is just an idea. So let's get into how we create a culture of shared innovation. Documentation and collaboration tools are essential, but they're only effective within a supportive culture. Creating a culture of shared innovation means fostering an environment where information flows freely across departmental boundaries. According to research by Deloitte, 94% of executives and 88% of employees believe that a distinct workplace culture is important to business success. But how do you build a culture specifically oriented towards collaborative innovation? Here are 5 ways. First is leadership modeling. Leaders must demonstrate cross-functional collaboration in their own behaviors. When leaders share information openly and seek input from different departments, it sets the tone for the entire organization. Recognition and rewards is another way. Recognize and reward individuals who effectively share knowledge and collaborate across boundaries. This can include formal recognition programs or simply highlighting collaborative successes in team meetings. You also need psychological safety. Google's Project Aristotle found that psychological safety was the key determinant of team success. This means creating an environment where team members feel safe to take risks, ask questions, and share ideas without fear of judgment. We also have to learn from failure. Dan Ward from Mitre Corporation shared with me a wonderful tactic they use called failure cake. This is when one of the members of the team goes to the grocery store, buys a cake, and has them write "Congratulations on your failure" on the cake. And then they brought it into the office. They all sat around, ate the cake while they shared and reflected what they had tried and what had failed. This approach celebrates the learning that comes from failure rather than stigmatizing it. You also need diverse perspectives. Nicole Armstrong, founder and CEO of Eloquate, shared with me, we all want the best talent. We all want the most innovative ideas. If you're only looking at a small group of people for those ideas and for that innovation, you're going to be very limited. Duncan Wardle, who was the VP of Innovation and Creativity at Disney, put it simply, diversity is innovation. If somebody looks different to you, they think differently than you, and they can help you think differently. You also need to build in time for reflection. Duncan Wardle also shared with me how they did a survey of 5,000 cast members at Lucasfilms, Pixar, Marvel, Disney, and the number one barrier to innovation across everyone was the feeling that I don't have time to think. Creating space for reflection, even momentary boredom, gives our minds the space to consider possibilities, to open itself to innovation. Pushpa Manikonda, who for years led the John Deere Technology Innovation Center, said to me, innovation is a marathon. It's not a high-speed 200-meter dash. Building a culture of shared innovation takes time and consistent effort. By fostering these cultural elements, organizations can create an environment where cross-functional collaboration becomes the norm rather than the exception. As Chris Denson, creator and host of the Innovation Crush podcast, shared with me, the best comment we can get is, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was possible. And so success actually in that regard is not the number of projects we do and that are out in the world. It's how many people we give new information and new inspiration to. So let's talk about how tech can help build cross-functional collaboration, breaking down barriers and silos. While culture and process are fundamental, technology plays a crucial role in facilitating cross-functional collaboration and building bridges between R&D, product, engineering, and every stakeholder involved in new product innovation. The right tools can significantly reduce the friction we experience when sharing knowledge across departments. Here are some key capabilities to look for. A centralized knowledge repository. A single source of truth where all product insights and information is stored and accessible to teams. Contextual and natural language search. The ability to find information quickly and in context rather than having to wade through multiple documents and files. Real-time collaboration. Tools that allow team members from different departments to work together on the same document simultaneously. Automated documentation. Systems that reduce the burden of documentation by automatically capturing and organizing insights as they are shared in real time. Version control and weighting. Clear tracking of changes and the ability to see the evolution of ideas over time, plus the appropriate weight granted to knowledge shared during the innovation process. Translation capabilities. Features that help translate technical jargon into languages that different departments can understand and get behind. Integration with existing tools. The ability to connect with the tools that teams already use rather than requiring them to adopt entirely new workflows. By automatically categorizing and contextualizing information, AI can help make knowledge more accessible to different departments. For example, agents can seamlessly scan documents and recognize that a technical spec contains information relevant to marketing. It can automatically extract the key benefits and generate launch materials for the marketing team to review and incorporate into demand campaigns. Let's talk about the KPIs for cross-functional collaboration. According to a study by the Aberdeen Group, best-in-class companies are 22% more likely to use formal metrics to measure collaboration effectiveness. To improve cross-functional collaboration, you need to measure it. But how do you quantify something as seemingly intangible as collaboration across departments? Here are some key metrics that successful organizations track. First, time to market. How long does it take from initial concept to product launch? Reduced time to market is often a sign of improved cross-functional collaboration. Knowledge sharing metrics can include how frequently a document is accessed by different departments, how quickly are questions answered, what percentage of team members contribute to the knowledge base. We can also look at cross-functional meeting effectiveness. Do meetings include representatives from all relevant departments? Are action items clearly assigned and followed through? Do participants report that meetings are valuable? And then we also should see reduced rework. How often do teams have to redo work due to miscommunications or misaligned expectations? Next is employee satisfaction. Do team members report feeling informed about what's happening across the development lifecycle? And do they feel that their input is valued? Some of the innovation metrics could include number of new ideas generated, percentage of new ideas that move to implementation, revenue generated from new innovations, and of course, new product vitality index. This is the holy grail for those who work in new product innovation. The new product vitality index measures your company's innovation level by calculating the percentage of its total revenue that comes from products launched within a specific time frame. This is typically the last 3 to 5 years. Regular assessment of these innovation metrics can help you identify areas for improvement and track progress over time. So let's look at a case study of a successful silo breaking situation. So let's examine some real-world examples of organizations that have successfully broken down silos between R&D, product, and marketing. First, P&G's Connect and Develop. P&G transformed its approach to innovation with its Connect and Develop program, which broke down internal silos while also opening the door to external collaboration. By creating cross-functional teams focused on consumer needs rather than departmental objectives, P&G was able to accelerate innovation and bring products to market faster. Kathy Fish, who served as the Chief Research Development and Innovation Officer at P&G, shared with me how these cross-functional teams collaborate to find core insight stories to drive innovation forward. As she says, people are working with consumers and they're seeing that they're solving real problems in the lives and making a difference. That's meaningful. The stories help us get alignment on where we're going to go, and everybody gets an opportunity to contribute to what that story is. But then once you have it, it directs the effort and keeps people focused. The result? According to Harvard Business Review, P&G saw R&D productivity increase by 60% since implementing this collaborative approach. Second case study, Action, which is the Advanced Cardiac Therapies Improving Outcomes Network, represents a remarkable example of collaboration in healthcare. I've had the honor of working for years alongside Angie Lortz, Associate Chief of Quality at Cincinnati Children's Hospital and co-founder of Action, which brings pediatric heart specialists from hospitals worldwide together to find faster ways to save the lives of kids facing heart failure. Pretty amazing. I had a front row seat, and our team at Narratize played a key role in helping them tell the story behind their innovative work. Angie shared with me, we started with 5 centers working together to decrease the stroke rates in these children. We were all just an invested group that really wanted to do this. Then quickly, people heard and were just as interested in fixing the issue. So now we're at 40 centers 2.5 years later. By breaking down silos between different healthcare centers and sharing knowledge openly, Action was able to dramatically improve outcomes for children with heart conditions. Angie continued, with Action, what we've done by using each other's experience and putting our data together, we have been able to quickly change healthcare practice. This collaborative approach allowed them to implement changes and practices across all U.S. centers, treating children with heart devices and those needing heart transplants in just 1 year. A process that would typically take 17 years through traditional research channels. Third case study, Lego's cross-functional innovation. Lego has implemented a cross-functional approach to product development that brings together designers, engineers, marketers, and even educators. Melissa Pickering, head of product at Bose and former head of product at Lego, shared with me how they don't just take a starting point of looking at technology. We challenge ourselves instead to look at new play experiences and what is relevant for kids' play. This human-centered, cross-functional approach has helped Lego remain innovative and relevant in a rapidly changing market. Melissa also emphasizes the importance of storytelling in this process. We found it's helpful to share the kids' test where it didn't go well, where the experience actually completely flopped, because then that also provides more credibility to the whole process when you share those stumbles through the design journey. I love this point about credibility building and cross-functional innovation. By sharing setbacks, you're pulling external stakeholders into your process. It gives a beautiful window into someone else's work. It makes the listener feel more connected to the process and therefore the outcome. Now that we've talked about best practices and case studies from some of the most innovative companies, let's talk about how you're going to do this. How are AI-powered knowledge hubs enabling teams to scale cross-functional innovation? A knowledge hub is a centralized system that connects different departments through shared information and facilitates collaboration. I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step approach to implementing one effectively. Step 1, assess your current state. Begin by mapping how information currently flows between R&D, product, and marketing. Where are your biggest bottlenecks? What information gets lost in translation? What tools are teams currently using? Conduct interviews with team members to understand their pain points and needs. Step 2, define clear objectives. Set specific goals for improving cross-functional innovation, such as reducing time to market by X%, decreasing duplicate work by Y%, improving alignment by Z%. Make sure these objectives align with broader innovation horizons and goals. Step 3, standardize innovation workflows. Create a structure that works for all stakeholders. Define what done looks like across your development process. Establish what information is required at each stage and create templates that standardize those outputs. Step 4, select the right technology. Choose a platform that meets your specific needs. Make sure that it's easy to use for all departments, that it integrates with existing tools, provides powerful natural language search capabilities, and offers customizable workflows. Step 5, plan the implementation rollout. A phased approach often works best. Start with a pilot team that includes representatives from each department, gather feedback, and refine the process. Then you can expand to other teams. Provide training support through each step. Step 6, foster adoption through culture. Technology alone won't solve the silo problem. You need cultural buy-in. Ensure that leadership is using and championing knowledge hubs. Recognize and reward cross-functional collaboration and share those success stories of how the hubs are improving outcomes. Address resistance directly and compassionately. Step 7, continuously improve. Product knowledge hubs should evolve with your organization. Regularly collect feedback from all users in the departments and monitor that usage, what the patterns are, and identify the areas for improvement. Update those processes and technology as needed. Celebrate those wins and learn from the challenges. By following these steps, you can create knowledge architectures and cultures that truly connect R&D, product, and marketing, breaking down silos and accelerating innovation. Now that we've walked through the step-by-step guide to implement this, let's look at what's coming in the future when it comes to cross-functional collaboration. As we look into the future, several emerging trends are shaping how cross-functional teams will collaborate. First is through AI-augmented collaboration. Artificial intelligence is transforming how teams work together. AI can automatically identify relevant information and route it to the right people. Natural language processing can help translate technical jargon into language that different departments can understand. Recommendation systems can connect related pieces of information across departments. According to the IDC Futurescape report, 40% of G2000 companies will use AI and digital twins to accelerate innovation and resilience through collaborative human-machine teams in the next few years. Second, knowledge graphs and semantic networks. Advanced ways of organizing information are making it easier to connect dots across departments. Knowledge graphs map relationships between different pieces of information. Semantic networks help identify conceptual connections that might not be obvious. Our product knowledge hubs is a concept introduced by the team at Narratize. They're possible thanks to cutting-edge work in knowledge graphs, semantics, narrative, and data science breakthroughs. These technologies help surface insights that might otherwise remain hidden in departmental silos. Lou Gritzo, Chief Science Officer at FM Global, shared with me why this is so important. He said, in certain areas, you see the same problems come up over and over again. As people change and go to different roles, you see that same problem has a tendency to get worked on by different people at a different point in time. And unless those learnings are documented and there's an opportunity for others in the future to go back and review those same mistakes, the same path will be pursued. Hybrid work models. The shift to remote and hybrid work is creating new challenges and opportunities for cross-functional collaboration. Asynchronous communication is more important than ever. Documentation holds greater significance when teams aren't physically together. Video and virtual collaboration tools are essential and offer exciting opportunities for capturing conversational and content-based knowledge and making it referenceable for future innovators at your company. Democratize innovation. Innovation is increasingly coming from diverse people in your organization, not just teams dedicated to innovation. Platforms that allow anyone to submit ideas are key. Open innovation challenges are gaining popularity, and the line between innovators and implementers is blurring. Michael Tedesco, who led innovation at PayPal, shared with me their approach. We created this concept of a global innovation tournament. We had 9 senior leaders from all around the globe put forth problem statements, and the ideas in the problem statements ranged from how we increase our customer acquisition rates to how we use our products and services to help customers fight climate change. Ideas just started flowing in. It didn't matter if you're an engineer, an executive assistant, a designer, or a lawyer. Everyone was on the same page. Continuous documentation. Traditional documentation is being replaced by a more dynamic, ongoing process. Documentation is becoming integrated into the workflow rather than being a separate activity. Real-time updates are replacing periodic documentation cycles. The concept of documentation debt is gaining recognition as a key risk to be managed. Empathy-driven design. The recognition that different departments have different needs and perspectives is driving new approaches. User personas are being developed not just for external customers, but for internal stakeholders. Empathy mapping is being used to understand the needs of different departments. And design thinking principles are being applied to internal processes. Nicole Armstrong of Eloquate shared with me, one of the key things that I've learned around storytelling is that it's all about relationships and trust building. When you meet with anyone to tell the story of innovation or tell the story of the work that you're doing, the most important and the most influential thing you can do is find the personal connection with that person. You understand what their challenges are and what they're experiencing. As these trends evolve, organizations that adapt quickly will be the best positioned to break down silos and foster true cross-functional collaboration. The future belongs to companies that can harness the collective intelligence of their entire organization, not just individual departments working in isolation. So, throughout this discussion, we've explored how silos between R&D, product, and marketing can hinder innovation and slow down go-to-market strategies. We've seen that effective knowledge sharing and cross-functional collaboration are not just nice-to-haves, they're essential for organizational success. Organizational silos create inefficiencies, limit innovation, and lead to market misalignment. However, effective knowledge sharing creates a common foundation that enables cross-functional collaboration. Successful cross-functional collaboration requires both structural approaches and supportive cultural elements. And documentation should serve multiple audiences without creating additional work. Technology can significantly reduce the friction in sharing knowledge across departments. And as you implement these, measuring collaboration through specific KPIs will help drive that continuous improvement that you're looking for. The real-world case studies we discussed demonstrated that breaking down silos delivers tangible business results. As Jim Rakowski from Ecolab so eloquently stated, storytelling is probably one of the most underappreciated aspects of how we drive innovation to success. If it's not commercially successful, the innovation just is an idea. The organizations that thrive in the future will be those that can effectively connect their R&D, product, and marketing teams through shared knowledge and collaborative processes. By implementing the strategies we've discussed today, you can begin by breaking down silos in your own organization and unlocking new levels of innovation and market success. Thank you for joining me for this exploration of cross-functional collaboration. I invite you to reach out if you have any questions or if you'd like to learn more about how Narratize can help your organization break down these silos and connect your teams through a unified product knowledge hub. Remember, as Dan Ward from MITRE reminds us, telling stories is an effective way to develop your own understanding of ideas and things, but also to build that shared understanding. Storytelling is absolutely key to understanding the work that we do and how the world works. and in building that shared understanding with the folks around me. I hope you found value in today's discussion. If you do, like the video, subscribe, and share with your colleagues and friends for more content on how technology is transforming product development. Drop your questions and experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're using AI in your own practice. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep finding ways to multiply your impact with AI. Thanks for watching.